Hey guys, this is an introduction video to dynamic mathematical principles. The team members are Cubas and Ingrid Troche, and our mentor is Mario Grasso. The discipline of mathematics presents many challenges to different learners. A lack of sufficient mathematical skills and understanding affect one's ability to make critical, important, and educational life and career decisions. Our goal is to create a website where users can interact with our system to learn mathematical concepts. As part of our project management, we have a Gantt chart that shows how we divided the project on the last month, and we work for a total of 7 sprints, each 2 weeks long. So we have divided the user stories, the owner of that particular user story, the start and the end date, the calculated days that we work on that particular user story, and the percentage that the project was done. We divided each week from Monday to Sunday. Same with this next example. So, in the project, we implemented many user stories, but in this video, we will concentrate only on the main user stories, such as activities, fun facts, history pages that they were done by Andres, and login register, the main page and the story base that they were done by me, Ingrid Troche. So the system should allow the user to register an account, to log in, to log out, modify account, delete account, send feedback, rate activity, to view the About Us page, to interact with the page, history page, with activities, answer the surveys, view hints, and take the quizzes to the related activity. Also, we can rate the activity. So here we have a UML Use Case Model. Here we have a sample how our different actors interact with the system. So we have two different actors. We have the guest user and we have a registered user. So here we have a detailed explanation of the user story. The first user story that we have here is allow the user to register an account. The user story, as a user, I would like to register an account through the website. So the preconditions are that the user clicks on the register account and he inputs the required information, and then the user clicks on the register. So the use case begins when the user clicks on the register on the main page. The system responds by storing user information into our database, and it ends when the user is successfully able to log in to our website. The next user story allows the user to sign in the website. So the user clicks on the login, user inputs the required information, and the user clicks on login. So the use case begins when the user clicks on login on the main page, and the system responds by verifying if the user exists on the database. The use case ends when the user successfully logs into our website. Next user story is to take the survey. As a user, I need to take a behavior survey before interacting with our activities. The user logged in, the user clicks on the survey section, and the user clicks on submit. The use case begins when the user clicks on the survey. The system responds displaying the question for the user and saving the data in the database. The use case ends when the user successfully submits information in the database. Next user story allows the user to select activity. So the user is logged in, the user clicks on the activity section, and the user interacts with the activity. The use case begins when the user clicks on the activities. The system responds by displaying the activities to the user, and the use case ends when the user successfully completes an activity. The next user story is the fun facts. The user is logged in. He clicks on fun fact sections, and the user interacts with this fun fact page. The use case begins when the user clicks on activities, and the user responds displaying the activities to the user. The use case ends when the user successfully completes the fun facts. The next user story is the history section. As a user, I would like to learn more about history about famous mathematicians. So the user is logged in. The user clicks on the history section. The user views the information displayed on the website. The use case begins when the user clicks on the history page. The system responds by displaying the history page to the user, and the use case ends when the user successfully finishes reading the information. Next, we have a representation of sequence diagram. The first sequence diagram is logged in. So the user clicks on the logged in link, then it takes him to the login, and he inputs the information. Then the database is going to verify that it is a valid user, and it's going to send that to the database, to the user. Next sequence diagram is register. User clicks on register. Then it takes him to the register view. Then the database is going to search if we have that user already, and then it's going to validate the credentials. When it validates the credentials, then it's going to create the account and it's going to return the page to the user. Next sequence diagram is select activity. The user is going to click on select activity, and the system is going to take him into the select activity page. We're going to get those activities from the database, and then they're going to be displayed to the user. Then we're going to select a survey. So user clicks on the survey, it takes him to the select survey page, and then we're going to get those questions that are stored in the database, and we're going to display it to the user. Next sequence diagrams are fun facts. The user is going to click on the fun facts. They're going to take him to the fun facts page. He's going to select the available fun facts. We're going to get those fun facts, and we're going to return it to the user. Next, we're going to view this history. So the user clicks on the history link, and it takes him to the history page. We're going to get those history pages from our database, and we're going to return that to the user. Then we have the system design. For the system design, we use the view model controller. For the database, we use PHPMyAdmin as a framework to interact with MySQLi. MySQLi speaks to the database in order to get that information that we need. And for the view, we use Bootstrap, HTML, CSS, jQuery. Here is the presentation of our deployment diagram. Our deployment diagram describes the location of the hardware that we require for the system. So we need a client with a valid browser that supports Java applications, and the server with PHPMyAdmin, and the web page for the database, for the website. Here is a representation of our database. On the database, we have tables for quizzes. The quizzes take quiz ID, quiz name, and the description. We have the quiz takers. We have our pages or rates. We have quiz questions where we store the questions for the quiz, and the quiz answer where we store the answers for our quiz. We also have users where we store the users. The user is going to have a unique ID. It's going to have a username, password. We're going to get first name, email, and we're going to have if the user is active. Then we also have tables for feedback, survey answers, survey questions on the surveys. For security and privacy, in order to register an account, the user needs to validate account by clicking on email provided by our server. In order to log in, user needs to enter a valid credential. And in order to reset password, the user needs to confirm by logging to the username by the user email stored in our database. So here is a minimal class diagram. The minimal class diagram helps us to separate the UI code from the controller code. Here is a representation of the state machine. We have the login view and what it represents, what it has, the history state machine, the about us state machine, the activity state machine, fun fact state machine, suggestion state machine, and the survey state machine. We have the type of the user is going to be the registered user. Here is an algorithm for activity. We use some JavaScript for the activities and some also JavaScript for displaying hints and CSS and HTML for the hints. So to validate the activity, we created two test cases. The first one that we're going to start is with the activity Sunny. So the purpose is to validate the user can take an activity. The precondition is that the website is running and there is an internet connection. And the input is that the user clicks on the activity page. The different activities are going to be displayed and the user clicks on the activity that he or she wishes to solve. The expected output is that the user is able to interact with the activity and successfully view hints and take quests for the related activity. Next test case is raining. So the purpose is to validate the user can take an activity. The website is running and there is an internet connection. The inputs are the user clicks on the activity page and the activities are going to be displayed. The user clicks on the activity that he or she wishes to solve, but the user is not able to interact with the activity or view hints or quizzes for the related activity. A quick demo of Dynamath. So we're going to see how the page works. Here I can click on login to log in into my account, which my account is going to input my username and my password, and I can click on sign in. When I click on sign in, we're going to have a welcome message. Hey, welcome Ingrid to Dynamath. It is time to discover your passion for mathematics. So here I can have the choice to settings, log out, and search through the website. Here we have our pages. We have a history page. We have two history pages. One about Archimedes. We have a brief history about Archimedes and an interesting video. And we also have Gauss. We have Gauss, history, and some videos of his contribution in mathematics. We can go to About Us, where we're going to learn about Dynamath, and we're going to learn something about FIU School of Computing, and it's a brief history about us. The user can go to the activities, and as we can see, we have two types of activities. We're going to wait until the activity is low. In the meantime, we're going to see that we have hints and quizzes. If I click on a hint, it will give me a hint if I'm confused, and we have 3 hints. Then we do have another activity and applies the same thing. We have quiz and activity and the hints. Then we can go to our fun facts. In our fun facts, we have infinity fun fact and invariance in geometry fun fact. Here we have our fun facts, and then the user can read and interact. And we have another fun fact here. Also, the user is allowed to give us feedback or suggestions. And we also have surveys. So the user is going to have a survey to see how his behavior, how he feels about math. When the user is done interacting with activities, he can click on log out and it's going to take him to the main page.